At sunrise, nobody asks her age. They ask whether she can carry water, whether she can track an animal, whether she can survive childbirth. There is no birthday cake, no calendar hangs inside the shelter, no record marks her exact birth. Yet one question still matters. When is she old enough for children? The answer is not a number. It is a body, a season, and a group. Ancient humans did not start families randomly. They watched growth, strength, fertility, and status. They also watched hunger, danger, and kinship. Puberty opened the biological door. Society decided when to walk through. Those two moments were rarely identical, and they changed across time and place. So how young were ancient parents? The evidence is surprisingly complicated. Stone tools do not record birthdays. Skeletons rarely reveal first pregnancies. Genes preserve averages, not personal stories. Burials preserve bodies, not private decisions. Researchers must rebuild the answer indirectly. They study teeth, bones, hormones, and DNA. They compare living hunter-gatherer populations. They examine historical communities without birth records. They model fertility across human life histories. Every method contains uncertainty. An adolescent skeleton may look older. Hard labor can distort growing bones. Pregnancy leaves inconsistent skeletal traces. Nutrition can delay sexual maturation. Disease can delay it further. Climate changes available food. Culture changes acceptable partnerships. Violence changes who survives. So there was never one ancient age. There were ranges, pressures, and local rules. Still, the patterns are visible. They point away from one popular myth. Ancient girls did not universally become mothers at 12. Biology usually made that difficult. Childhood lasted longer than many people imagine. Human children grow unusually slowly. Our brains require years of learning. Young hunters must master complex landscapes. Young gatherers must recognize hundreds of plants. They must learn weather, tracks, tools, and people. That long apprenticeship delays independence. Puberty also depends on available energy. A starving body postpones reproduction. A sick body may do the same. Fat stores help signal reproductive readiness. This is especially important for ovulation. In demanding environments, menarche often arrives later. Menarche means the first menstrual period. It does not guarantee immediate fertility. Early cycles can be irregular. Many early cycles do not release eggs. The reproductive system is still maturing. Modern wealthy populations often begin menstruation earlier. Reliable calories help accelerate development. Ancient diets were rarely that predictable. Seasonal shortages were normal. Infections consumed energy. Walking consumed energy. Pregnancy demanded even more. So first menstruation may have arrived in mid-adolescence. For many groups, perhaps around 15 to 17, some individuals matured earlier. Others matured several years later. There was no universal biological schedule. Would a first period trigger immediate motherhood? Usually, the body still faced obstacles. Conception requires regular ovulation. Pregnancy requires sustained nutrition. Birth requires a sufficiently developed pelvis. Nursing requires additional energy. Survival requires help from other people. Puberty was only the beginning. Reproductive readiness emerged gradually. The ancient body did not obey birthdays. It responded to conditions. Living foragers offer imperfect but useful clues. They are not fossils from the past. They live in the modern world. But some preserve non-industrial reproductive patterns. Among the Hadza, first births often occur late in adolescence. Researchers commonly place the average near 19. Among the Ju/hoansi, the pattern is similar. First births often cluster around the late teens. Other small-scale societies reach different averages. Some begin earlier, others begin in the early 20s. Food security shifts the timing. Marriage customs shift it. Breastfeeding traditions shift later births. Female workload also matters. Genetic evidence adds a broader perspective. Mutations can estimate generation intervals. A generation interval is not first birth. It averages parental ages across births. Recent genetic studies suggest mothers average their early 20s. Fathers often average several years older. Across deep history, the combined interval stayed near the mid-20s. That does not mean every mother was 23. Some were younger, some were much older. Later children raise the average. Male reproduction raises it further. Still, the signal matters. Ancient reproduction was not dominated by 12-year-old mothers. It was centered closer to later adolescence and young adulthood. Why wait after puberty? Because pregnancy was not just conception. It was a dangerous cooperative project. A young mother needed calories. She needed protection. She needed experienced helpers. She needed a socially recognized partner. She needed a place within the group. Without those conditions, fertility alone was insufficient. The community mattered as much as the body. Human adolescence may exist for that reason. It creates time between childhood and parenthood. During those years, skills accelerate. Social alliances become more important. Young people learn adult responsibilities. They observe courtship and conflict. They test reputation. They build trust. They discover who shares food. They discover who abandons others. Choosing a partner could affect survival. A poor choice threatened mother and infant. A reliable partner brought meat or protection. Reliable relatives brought childcare. Grandmothers could transform the outcome. Anthropologist Kristen Hawkes emphasized their importance. Her grandmother hypothesis links longevity with family support. Older women gather food for grandchildren. They also free mothers to reproduce again. Human fertility became cooperative. Sarah Blaffer Hrdy called humans cooperative breeders. Children depend on more than one caregiver. Fathers, grandparents, siblings, and unrelated helpers contribute. That system rewards social maturity. A physically mature teenager may still lack support. An older young adult may have stronger alliances. Would ancient groups recognize adolescence? They lacked our school grades, but they noticed changing bodies and abilities. Initiations could mark new responsibilities. Scarification could mark status. Ornaments could signal identity. New tools could signal competence. Hunting success could change male status. Gathering knowledge could change female status. Childcare experience could demonstrate reliability. These markers replaced numbered ages. People asked what someone could do, not how many birthdays had passed. Adulthood was performed. It was not simply counted. That made reproductive timing flexible. A capable younger person might marry earlier. A poorly supported person might wait. Local customs could override biology. Men followed a different reproductive clock. Sperm production begins after puberty, but fatherhood often began later. Male fertility alone did not secure partnership. Young men competed with older men. They needed hunting skill. They needed allies. They needed reputation. They sometimes needed bride service. That meant working for a partner's family. Among some foragers, marriage followed long courtship. Among others, families influenced the match. Age differences varied widely. Men were often older than first-time mothers. Genetic generation intervals support that pattern. Paternal ages tend to exceed maternal ages. Status can delay male reproduction. So can dangerous hunting. So can conflict. Some men fathered no children, others fathered children across many years. This creates unequal male reproductive success. One successful older man can raise the average. That makes genetic averages tricky. They describe populations, not personal lives. Could a 15-year-old ancient boy become a father? Biologically, yes. Socially, not always. He might lack status. He might lack food. He might lack consent from families. He might lack a partner entirely. Young men often spent years proving value. Skill acquisition continued into adulthood. Complex hunting improves with experience. Navigation improves with experience. Conflict management improves with experience. Parenthood rewarded more than sexual maturity. It rewarded usefulness. It rewarded reliability. It rewarded relationships. Ancient partnership was never one universal system. Some groups favored long-term pair bonds. Some allowed flexible partnerships. Some practiced arranged marriages. Some tolerated divorce. Some accepted remarriage after death. Kinship rules prevented certain unions. Incest avoidance shaped partner choice. Exchange relationships linked distant families. Marriage could reduce conflict between groups. It could also create obligations. A young woman might move communities. A young man might move instead, or both remained near their own relatives. Residence patterns changed available support. Living near a mother could ease childbirth. Living near brothers could increase protection. Living near in-laws could create new duties. Partner choice carried economic consequences. It also carried emotional ones. Attraction mattered, reputation mattered, jealousy mattered, violence mattered. Consent varied across cultures and history. We should not romanticize ancient life. Coercion certainly existed. So did affection. So did negotiation. So did refusal. Human social emotions are ancient. Young people watched older couples. They learned which partners shared food. They learned which partners became violent. They learned which families offered support. This social knowledge affected reproductive timing. Why begin before support existed? Why wait if support was abundant? Each group balanced different risks. That balance produced different ages. Pregnancy in the ancient world was dangerous. Maternal death left little direct evidence. Yet childbirth complications are biologically predictable. Human babies have unusually large heads. Human mothers walk on narrow, upright, adapted pelvises. Birth requires difficult rotation. Obstructed labor could become fatal. Bleeding could become fatal. Infection could become fatal. A very young pelvis increased danger. This favored waiting beyond earliest puberty. Experience could not widen bones instantly. Growth needed time. Nutrition needed stability. Birth also began years of dependence. Human infants cannot feed themselves. They cannot cling like many primates. They require constant carrying. They require protection at night. They require frequent nursing. Lactation often suppresses ovulation. This is called lactational amenorrhea. Frequent nursing can delay the next conception. In many foraging populations, births are spaced several years apart. 3 to 4 years is common. That spacing protects mothers. It also protects older children. A mother can carry only so much. Food can support only so many dependents. Short intervals increase nutritional stress. Infant loss can shorten the interval. Weaning can shorten it too. Seasonal abundance may increase conception. Seasonal hunger may reduce it. Reproduction followed ecological rhythms. It was not a constant biological command. A woman might first give birth near 19. Her next child might arrive near 23. Another might arrive near 27. Generation averages therefore rise. One first birth never tells the whole story. Ancient families unfolded across decades. Many mothers continued into their 30s. Some stopped earlier. Health and survival decided much. Another myth distorts the question. People say ancient humans died at 30. That number usually means life expectancy at birth. High infant mortality drags the average downward. It does not mean adults collapsed at 30. People surviving childhood could reach their 50s. Some reached their 60s or beyond. Older adults appear in archaeological populations. They carried knowledge unavailable to teenagers. They remembered droughts. They remembered dangerous places. They remembered kinship obligations. They assisted births. They watched children. They taught tools and stories. This extended lifespan changed reproduction. Parents did not work alone. Grandparents increased family resilience. Older siblings increased it too. An adolescent girl caring for siblings gained experience. An adolescent boy provisioning relatives gained reputation. Childcare itself became training. By first parenthood, many knew infant behavior. They had watched feeding. They had watched illness. They had watched grief. Knowledge reduced some risks. It could not remove all of them. Ancient parenthood remained uncertain. Children died frequently. Mothers sometimes died. Fathers sometimes vanished. Groups absorbed the survivors. Cooperative care kept lineages alive. That is why age alone never answered readiness. Readiness belonged to the network. So what age did ancient humans begin? For many women, probably the late teens, often around 18 to 20. In some groups, slightly earlier. In others, the early 20s. For many men, first fatherhood came later, often the early or middle 20s, sometimes much later. These are ranges, not rules. They changed across thousands of generations. They changed with food, they changed with climate, They changed with disease, they changed with culture, they changed with available helpers. Puberty created possibility, social support created practicality, ecology created timing. No ancient parent checked a birth certificate. They read bodies instead. They read seasons. They read skills. They read reputations. They read the needs of the group. A person became ready through relationships, not through a number alone. That may be the strangest difference. Modern societies count age precisely. Ancient societies counted capability. We ask, "How old are you?" They may have asked, "Who depends on you?" or "Who will help you?" The first child was never only personal. It was a decision made inside a living network. And that network, more than age, determined survival.